Well, good morning. Here we are looking at Proverbs 23, verse 9, and we're in saying number 9 of the 30 sayings that Solomon has compiled regarding wisdom. In a sense, they're kind of a summary of all kinds of other proverbs that we hear throughout all of the compiled book of Proverbs. And so we're looking at just one verse this morning, and the verse is found in verse 9. It says, "Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words." So notice a few things that are going here. First of all, there's the command to not speak. So he says, be very careful about what you're doing. You have to be discerning. This kind of takes us to Proverbs 26, where in verses 4 and 5, it says, "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes." So here he's telling you, don't answer and then answer, and it really just takes wisdom to know what to do. But here he's clearly saying in verse 9 to not speak in the hearing of a fool. And he gives the reasoning. He says, because you're going to be despised for the good sense that you are giving. So there are people that you can speak to. And we're not talking about controversial things. We're just talking about very good, wise hearings, and they're just going to mock or despise it. And they're just not going to listen to it. So they're going to despise the good sense of your words. So they're not even going to hear it. They're essentially being what a number of the commentators have picked up on is they're just going to be obstinate. They're just going to be hard-headed. They're just going to refuse to listen. They're not being teachable. They're not willing to listen. They are just not going to hear the good sense that you are giving. And so thereby you're just wasting your time, you're wasting your breath. Now it takes wisdom to know who those people are. There are people that you can talk to and you can share over and over again truth, and they're just not going to listen, and they're going to maybe listen for a little bit, but then they're going to come back, and it's just ridiculous. And so he says, just don't even say anything. Really, this is one of the things that personally I learned from having discussions really on social media, is there are people who think certain things that I would just disagree with, and you go in and you can discuss, and you just go back and forth, and before you know, you're talking about all these other things, and you're not going to change their mind. And so he says, don't speak. Now, not everybody that says something and not everybody that you disagree with is a fool. It's not saying everybody that you can't convince is a fool, but rather he's saying here that a fool is one who despises wisdom. Remember that from chapter 1 and following over and over. One of the themes is you have the wise and you have the fools, and fools just despise wisdom. And the wisdom is the wisdom of God. So we're talking about putting forth biblical principles. And we're not talking about some so-called gray areas where it may be okay for you to do this, but another brother, it wounds his conscience. That we find those things in Romans. He talks about that. One esteems a day higher than another doesn't. And we're not talking about that kind of thing. We're talking about pure, unfiltered, there's no question about it, wisdom. And someone just doesn't want to hear it. Biblical truth and wisdom, and they just don't want to hear it. And he says, don't even speak in the hearing of a fool. He's going to despise your good sense, and that's going to leave you frustrated. Part of it is because we want to continue to try to convince, and that's just not going to happen. So really the best thing here is follow, I think, the words of Paul in Romans 13 or 14, can't remember off the top of my head, but to, if at all possible, live peaceably with all men, if possible. And sometimes peace just means just being quiet. You're not going to convince a fool, so just be peaceable about it. The Lord is allowing that person to live and to continue. And if the Lord is being peaceful, so to speak, with that person, we can as well. And so just deal with it. Know when we should speak, know when we should not speak, and seek to be wise. Well, I hope that you will ask the Lord for wisdom. In James, he says that if we lack wisdom, let us ask the Lord. And so when we encounter a person like that we think fits this, let us, in the moment, be people who are always praying and stop and say, Lord, give me wisdom as to what I should say or should not say in dealing with this person. And let us go in faith that the Lord is going to give us that wisdom and that we will seek to glorify Him in all of those things. Well, I hope that these are a few encouraging thoughts for you today, and that the Lord will richly bless you as you seek to glorify Him with our mouths this day.